Alrighty guys, welcome back. Earlier we were talking about LeBron James and his future with the Lakers undecided, and now we're going to be talking about the college football name, image, and or not. I don't think it's strictly football, excuse me. The college name, image, and likeness antitrust case versus the NCAA. But before we do that, I just want to remind you guys to like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from the viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. That link is gsmcpodcast.net. Let's just put your question at the top of the list so I can see it, and it also really helps the show.
Okay, before we dive into what we're going to be talking about, Faith and I were talking about we were during the break. I was talking about, man, I'm hungry, and Faith was talking about how she's hungry. And yesterday when I went to lunch, have you ever heard of what a full English breakfast is?
Yes.
Okay. When as living in the U.S., I always thought it was like, that's just not a good breakfast. And I'm gonna send you a picture. I'm gonna send you a picture of it, Faith.
This has like beans and toast along with it. Yeah. What is it with them and beans and toast?
Girl, wait a minute though. Wait a minute. I was telling my friends this because I'm like, that is the dumbest thing ever. Horrible. Absolutely a mistake. And then I tried it, Faith. It is so good.
I just don't
It is so good, Faith. I don't know why.
They look like baked beans. Are they baked beans?
Yes.
I don't like baked beans.
But they're a little different than American baked beans. They're really good.
I don't like baked beans. I don't.
So I'm not really a baked beans fan at all either. But here, they're a different kind of, they're kind of like baked beans, but they're not the American baked beans. I don't like the regular American baked beans, but I love these. And I don't, since coming here, I have become a fan of the full English breakfast. That is a breakfast that you eat, like, for me, once every 3 or 4 months. This is not something that you eat every day.
Yeah. I was going to say that. I was like, well, if you like an English breakfast, you definitely shouldn't eat it every day. Unless you're going to go and be in the gym for like 2 to 3 hours. I
disagree. I don't think, even if you went to the gym every single day, if you had a full English breakfast every single day, the English breakfast, it'll be English breakfast 35, exercise 0, because it would win.
Well, they say
you're getting gut and butt off of that meal. That's like that full deluxe big breakfast from McDonald's. That's its cousin.
They say you're supposed to eat like a lot for your breakfast and then go smaller and smaller with each meal. Like breakfast, you're supposed to eat like a king. Lunch, you're supposed to eat like a prince, and then dinner, you're supposed to eat like a peasant.
I thought they found that wasn't true. That they ended up finding out that was kind of,
well, everybody's body type. Every body type is different, so I don't, that may work for somebody and may not work for somebody else. I don't know, but you shouldn't be eating a full English breakfast every morning anyway.
What's all on it? So, okay, you get 2 eggs, 3 sausages,
a bunch of meat,
3 strips of bacon, hash browns.
Your cholesterol's gonna be through the roof.
Baked beans, grilled tomatoes, grilled mushrooms,
that sounds good.
And I think it's Yorkshire pudding or something like that with it, which is like this little black like sausage. I don't know what this thing is. And then you also get toast and coffee with it, and maybe some orange juice.
Y'all better have your blood pressure medication already set out for you after
you are all butt and gut after that meal. I am letting you know.
Oh, gosh.
That's why they call it a full English, because you get a full backside afterwards.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, Faith.
All right.
Let's dive into this bad boy.
Moving on. Alrighty. So, This story comes from ESPN. So, college sports leaders are in deep talks to settle the name, image, and likeness antitrust case versus the NCAA. The leaders of college sports are involved in deep discussions to reach a legal settlement that will likely lay out the framework for the sharing revenue with athletes in a future NCAA business model, sources told ESPN. The NCAA and its power conferences are defendants in an antitrust case action lawsuit, House versus the NCAA, which argues that the association is breaking federal law by placing any restrictions on how athletes make money from selling the rights to their name, image, or likeness. The case is scheduled to go to court in January of 2025. If the plaintiffs win at trial, the NCAA and its schools could be liable to pay more than $4 billion in damages, which has motivated many leaders across the industry to seek a settlement. Sources indicated that a turning point in the discussion, which have been ongoing, came last week in the Dallas area, where the Power Conference commissioners, their general counsels, NCAA President Charlie Baker, NCAA lawyers, and the plaintiffs' attorneys met. They chose the Dallas area because they are already there for the college football playoff meetings, which were held in that area last week. While sources stress that no deal is imminent, details about what a multi-billion-dollar settlement could look like are expected to be shared with campuses in the near future. There are variables to get to the finish line, and still some obstacles and objections at the campus level, but sources indicate that progress has ramped up in recent weeks.
Okay. All right. I know you like to talk your college football, Faith. What is your thoughts on this so far?
It would be smart to reach a settlement instead of going to trial, because $4 billion in damages, that's a lot of money.
I think it's low. I think the $4 billion, I think it could be worse than that. That's go ahead, keep on.
You got to think about the other, like all the schools though. And some of these schools can't really afford, $4 billion in damages. So I think that they should try to settle this before, going to court about this. That's my opinion. You'd save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money, because you have to think it's not just $4 billion in damages. It's also, you've got to pay, your lawyers, you have all this money that you have to give out on top of the $4 billion. And so I think it would be a smart move to reach a settlement instead of going to court. That's my opinion.
Okay. First off, babe.
Yes.
Settlement is priority number one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
No matter what, that is their number one goal, is figure out a way to settle this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have a chance whatsoever.
You don't think they can settle it?
No. I don't think they have a chance whatsoever to win the case. I give them very little chance of winning the case. The evidence is too stacked against them. Where they've been making money for a century off of players, while restricting where players can make money themselves. So the smart move is to 100% settle this agreement, which means figure out a dollar figure that the schools could handle and afford, settle it, and then start. As I said, this lawsuit here is what's going to cause the College Football Super League, some of the things from that proposal to go in place. And this is already talked about, where you go in and you settle this lawsuit, and then schools are supposed to set aside like $20 million to pay their athletes. And that's the first step. First step is settle. Second step is now let players be able to get a regular income. By doing a regular income, now you can sign players to agreements and contracts, which then cuts down on how much transfer portaling you can do. If
Right.
you're a player and you want to bet on yourself, hey, I'll sign for a year here. I'll sign 2 years here. But it cuts down on, hey, I signed with Georgia. Alabama's offering me more money. Hit you with the deuces. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
No. Now you've signed a contract, or you've signed a 2-year agreement to play for Georgia. You're going to play for Georgia. This, has to be done. It also takes care, addresses the name, image, and likeness. Um, I don't understand why schools are involved with name, image, and likeness altogether. That should be done away with completely. And what I mean by should be done away with is schools should be paying players. Go ahead. Okay, they are part of the school's employees. They're employees. So a University of Georgia player gets XYZ dollars a year to go to school and play football at the University of Georgia. Now, anything that you get as far as endorsements and sponsorships, that's up to you and your agent, just like the pro model is. These are professional players. So if you are Caleb Williams, let's use Caleb Williams, the number one pick in this year's draft, who got drafted by the Chicago Bears. He just got drafted by the Chicago Bears. He's the number one pick. He's going to sign for XYZ amount of dollars. And then his agent can go out and find him endorsement deals and sponsorships that are separate from that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
college football, it should be no different than that. The fact that colleges are involved in, hey, I'm going to get you a deals over at the auto dealership so you can do commercials for Billy Bob's Lincoln Mercury over here, and you got a Natty Light commercial sponsorship over here. Why are universities involved in the middle of this? Do you understand what I mean, Faith? Why should your school be looking for endorsements dollars for your running back, your quarterback, your tight end, and everything else when that's not what they do? Their jobs are, universities' jobs are to play sports and educate their students. That's what they do. That's the contract they should sign them for. Go ahead, Faith.
I feel like a big part of the reason is probably because they are offering them, you know, full scholarship to school, and so I guess the universities feel like they have some sort of like authority over them because they're offering them a full ride to school, and so maybe that's why they feel like they can be in control of endorsements and things of that nature. Um,
Okay,
so
let's talk about what Nick Saban said about when they lost, and part of the reason what made him start thinking about retiring. When he lost, they hadn't even pretty much gotten over the loss, and right
mm-hmm.
away, it was like, "Hey, coach, this school is offering me this amount of money, and this school is offering me this amount of money, which is more than what you gave me last year. What are you
Mm-hmm.
going to get for me?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, I got to go call the Buick dealership over here and see if I can go get you some more money. And I want to go see if I can get you a shoe deal over here and this and that. And so many coaches are getting out of college football because of the fact that they're like, we don't have enough time to coach. We got to recruit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now we got to go get sponsorships and endorsement deals and everything else on top of that when they should not be involved in it at all. If you just went down and you just said and treated it like every model in the world is, you go ahead and get your agent. Your agent, you're allowed to have an agent now. Your agent finds you deals. When we recruit you from high school, we're going to sign you to a 3-year deal that you're going to play with at the University of Miami for
Mm-hmm.
XYZ amount of dollars. Any extra money that you get through your agent, that's the way it should be. Schools, coaches, chancellors, recruiters should not be in the middle of trying to find kids sponsorships or being like, oh God, we got our star quarterback 7 sponsorships worth, $3 million. And now Georgia comes along and says, hey, we got 10 sponsorships worth $4 million if you leave your school. Do you see how does a school be able to compete and stay alive? This model helps everyone because they would settle that lawsuit. They would be employees. So now, hey, you signed a 2-year deal with the University of Auburn. You're going to play for the University of Auburn for the next 2 years. Now you can go talk to your agent and have your agent find you some other sponsorship. But I feel like college football needs to get out of this name, image, and likeness and make it so that schools can just focus on recruiting and educating educating the students, and that's what they do best.
Mm-hmm.
Repeating this and just saying, "Hey, we're going to start this." It's it's you know, it's a slippery slope where college football keeps getting into all these slippery slopes where it's like, "Oh, we got to negotiate television deals. We got to negotiate playoff deals and bowl affiliations and handle lawsuits." What universities are meant to do were to just focus on educating their students and playing their games, and the NCAA handled everything else. That model has failed. They need to redo this whole model so that it fits them and helps the universities while at the same time helping the kids so that they're taken care of and the universities are taken care of. That's just my take.
Yeah. No, I agree. It would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. And it's slowly, you're never going to get this college football super league. Like they're just going to sign off on the program that was presented.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be an a la carte type of situation. Yeah, we're going to take part of that. We're going to take part of that. We're going to take part of that. But over the next 10 years, you're going to step back. And I think we're going to look around and say, oh, it's the college football super league. It just slowly was enacted, slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. Alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys agreeing to terms with Ezekiel Elliott, and we will also be discussing the Kelsey brothers. So make sure you guys stick around, and we will be back in a minute.